I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I am privileged to be recording this podcast today, the Camaragal of the Eora Nation, and I would like to recognise their elders past and present. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Growth Distillery, where we are interviewing some of the great minds at Advertising Week APAC. I'm joined by the fabulous Sherilyn Shackell, the CEO and founder of the Marketing Academy, and I'm fascinated to get your perspective on Adland as we go through a couple of quick-fire questions. So thank you so much for joining us.
It's my absolute pleasure.
All right, Sherilyn, what's the biggest idea in advertising right now?
Oh my God, what's the biggest idea in advertising? Well, I think if they're not already thinking about it, they need to be thinking about making really, really distinctive shit, right?
Okay.
The really, really distinctive work. I've seen that there's a lot of pretty average stuff that's been going out there quite recently. I'm not convinced that the relationships between the CMOs and the agencies is as powerful as it should and needs to be.
Yep.
Unfortunately, with CMOs being quite short tenured, which I might talk about a bit, they're actually becoming less brave and less courageous. If they're less brave and courageous, then unfortunately the agencies are going to have a very hard job selling in something that's a little bit risky.
Yep.
And so it's kind of like a rush to the bottom.
Yep.
You know, it's all being watered
Race to
down.
mediocrity.
Yeah, I hate it. It's just all being watered down.
You wanted to talk about tenure, and
Yeah.
I've got a theory alongside tenure that CMOs are having to become more and more like CTOs, with all of the very many metrics and systems and processes that you have to grapple across your portfolio. But what did you want to talk about when it came to tenure?
Oh God, I mean, I can talk about the CMO role forever, because they're not just needing to be CTOs, right? They're needing to be chief customer officers, chief experience officers. They need to be chief innovation leads. They need to be CFOs now, right? With all of the finance and all of the data. They're needing to be everything. The role is broadening at the speed of light. Very hard for CMOs to keep up with that from a capability perspective. So it's unfortunate. It's why the Marketing Academy exists. One of the reasons why it exists. But there is something on LinkedIn at the moment by Tom Fishburne, the marketunist, talking about a recent, I think Hydrix or Spencer Stewart came out within the US, the tenure for a CMO is 33 months. And I thought, well, no shit. It's what else is new? I think I posted it just saying, you know, what else is new? Same as it ever was.
Yeah.
But it's a real problem. It is a real problem. It's a problem for them. It's a problem for the CEOs. It's a problem for the growth in the organization. It's a problem with the relationships with their creative agencies and media agencies. It's a real freaking problem. And unfortunately, because we are now in, I don't know what we're in. Are we in a recession? I don't know. We're there again, right? Where all of the budgets are going to be slashed. The CEOs are going to go, we want more for less. And the CMOs are going to be held as scapegoats yet again. Easier to fire the CMO than possibly some of the other functional leads in that boardroom. And that's a shit. And you know, CEOs are going to wake up, in my opinion, to the superpower that's at their fingertips, which is that CMO. Because the CMO of all of the functional areas on that board is the one, if they are worth their salt, that will have insight across all of the board functions. And it's the only person in their business really holds the pulse of the customer in the palm of their hands.
Yeah.
They know the customer inside out. Why would you get rid of that person? Insane.
Yeah.
But that whole short-termism thing, it's hitting big time.
What do you think the antidote to that short-termism is?
The CEOs have to get braver.
Yep.
But
Okay.
if the CMOs are losing courage because they can see how short-term it is, somebody's going to have to break the paradigm, right?
Yeah.
Because if they're feeling less brave, they will do less cool shit.
Yeah.
And it's that really cool stuff that's going to enable the growth. So they've got to break the paradigm. They have to step forward, be prepared to be fired, stand behind the idea that they know is going to make this company fly, and therefore see the success of that for the CEO to be able to see that that is the good thing to do. It's one of the ways. There's many ways, but that's one of the ways.
Yeah, but it's sort of this who goes first. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that fear is like, it's a cancer to performance right across the board.
Yeah. The boldest claim you've heard this week?
Do you know what? I don't know what the boldest claim is, but there's a lot of shit claims going on out there at the moment, right? I've got to be honest. I am sick to death of conversations about AI. Can we just accept that it's just this really cool thing? It's really cool technology. Can we just now get over ourselves and get onto really interesting stuff? Because the claims are it's going to change the world. And I'm pretty sure it will eventually. But, you know, they said that about the internet and it took a while. It's going to take a while.
Yep.
But fortunately, there's such amazing brains in our industry, right? The disruptors, the innovators, the creative thinkers, that we're going to do the coolest stuff with it first. And then it's going to permeate everything. So but is it going to change the world now, right now? Well, and it's been around for a while, right? So is it going to change the world right now? I'm not sure, but Jesus Christ, it is the subject of every bloody conversation.
Feels though it was the metaverse last year.
Yeah.
Where did that go?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've somewhat answered this, but I'll press you for a slightly different answer. What's something we're all buying into that you think is absolute rubbish?
Well, it is that.
Yes.
But let me tell you a bit more personally then. So I've just done a keynote here.
Yep.
I've just done a keynote. My keynote was what the fuck is personal leadership? Here's one thing that emerging talent within our industry buys into, and it's not true.
Okay.
They buy into the fact that their employers are responsible for everything in their life, right? They buy into this notion that our employers are responsible for our happiness, for our well-being, for our development, personal development, for our freedom, for our career. And they're not. My belief is that there's only one person that's responsible for all of those things, and that's you as an individual. So what happens is we expect our companies, our employers, to do all of this stuff for us. And when they don't deliver it, because they can't deliver everyone's needs, everyone's drivers, they can't deliver that to everybody.
Yeah.
And when they don't deliver it, they get seriously pissed off, resentful, performance goes down, they disengage, and then you get that whole silent resignation
Quiet
thing
quitting,
going. Yeah, quiet quitting, yeah. And here's the truth of it, that you are in complete control over every choice you make in your life. The way in which you develop as a human being and as a leader or as a marketeer is down to you. Your well-being is down to you. The hours that you work, there is conscious choice in that, even though you might not choose to accept it. And there's really only one thing that an employer has to do. They have to give you a fair recompense in financial compensation for a fair job. Everything else is discretionary. But, you know, I know, not my scholars, but the younger emerging talent that are coming through, who they're expecting to be promoted every 8 months. I mean, get real. You can't have, 700 people at this level within an organisation and promote them all within 8 months. It's just not going to happen. And if they don't, they hold the employer responsible. My view would be, if you are really not getting what you truly need and want, leave. Find somewhere that will give it to you, do something different, or change the way you think about your expectations from your employer.
And complement it with something else like further learning.
Exactly, because you can do all of that in your own time. If you really choose to, you can invest in yourself. You get yourself some mentors, you can get yourself some supporters, you can go and have a little bit of career coaching, you can go and do online, all sorts of fantastic learning online for very little money now, because it's all virtual. So take a bit more ownership. But the buy-in is, my company has to promote me, pay me more money, develop me, take responsibility for how I live my life. Well, no, they don't.
That is a brilliant answer and an unexpected answer to that question. Well done. What should marketers and advertisers be paying attention to right now?
Well, they obviously do need to be paying attention to the real kind of innovation that's coming out that's going to be at their fingertips. They really need to be paying attention to the whole influencer celebrity kind of thing. So I just had a conversation with Jules about Ryan Reynolds, who, quite frankly, can do nothing wrong in my mind. Like nothing. But you have to be careful. But the celebrities and the influencers, that's now a whole industry, and it has been for ages, right? But what's now happening, and I know this because we have 7 influencers. Do you know Sidemen down here?
No.
Oh, right. Really cool TikTok kind of really big thing. And we had them come to an event that we were running in the UK, and their manager, and a whole load of other social media influencers. Now, what's interesting, they are now all creating their own brands. You know, there's 2 guys that did that power drink.
Oh, yeah.
And crashed the market.
Yeah.
It's probably a shit drink, right? It's a shit brand. It's horrible packaging. There's nothing good about it. but because of the fan base of those influencers, it went ballistic. So, and influencers now are not making their money from the click watches on any of their
No, it's not the
platforms.
one-to-many.
No.
It's much more network influence.
And it's much more about doing brand partnerships or creating their own brand. So I think that's a real, and I don't know how that's going to play out. I'll imagine these kids, and they are like I could have been the mother of all, grandmother to some of them, and they're really young, and then they have millions. They have made millions.
Yeah.
And I am interesting to see how that trajectory takes marketing, media, and advertising going forward.
I think the whole ecology is going to shift over the next few years. On the other side of the coin, what shouldn't we pay attention to?
There's a lot of talk about the kind of what's happening within ad land, vis-a-vis they're being bought, what the holding company is going to be doing, how many of the professional services firms are going to get into advertising, are any of the professional services firms going to buy a media agency and own the dollar? I think it's all noise. It's a lot of noise. I mean, who the fuck knows, really? We haven't got crystal balls. But if we could just get to the stage where the marketing, so the CMOs and the marketing organisations know what they don't know, and then invest massive energy and emotion in the relationships with those organisations that can provide them that which they don't know, we'll all be better off. You know, there's a lot of noise about that. We don't need it. It's a distraction. We don't need it.
Yep.
Get back to brilliant work and fantastic relationships between the CMO and the agencies.
I think profound wisdom. What excites you most about the year to come?
About the year to come? Oh my God. Well, I'm excited. I'm always excited about the industry, right? Here's what I believe is happening around the world. We're going, at the very least, we're talking ourselves into the fact that it's going to be another recession, right? I'm not sure it's actually panning out like that, but if we're talking about it in our heads, we're sure as shit going to be acting as if that's going to happen, right? I get quite excited about that because the work within our industry gets really sharp when the revenues are lower. So a whole groundswell of innovation comes up. And look, we've had that. So we saw all sorts of quite zeitgeist-changing innovation happen because of the pandemic.
Yep.
Really quickly after but there's normally 10 years between recessions, right? But this is really quickly followed by at least the CEOs talking up that we're going to be in recession. I'm hoping we're going to see another whole load of really exciting innovations. And our industry, I say this, I can't leave this podcast without saying it. Marketing, media, and advertising is the only function and sector and industry that can literally change the world, right? Marketing, media, and advertising has influence over 7.5 billion people on this planet. We can influence the way they think, the choices they take, the behaviours they adopt, and even the beliefs that they hold. So in a world that's turning to shit, the marketing, media, and advertising profession.
What a profound role we have to play.
What a profound role that no other industry has got. So how exciting to know that we'll go into a phase where we'll have less money, we'll have to do more really interesting stuff, we'll have to create new innovation in order that we can hold 7.5 billion people in the planet who are likely feeling a bit shit about stuff at the moment.
Wonderful outlook.
We've got the power to do that.
What keeps you up at night?
I want the Marketing Academy to be in 20 countries around the world for the next 3 years.
Okay.
Not being able to achieve that keeps me up at night.
Okay.
That's the thing that has stopped me. I need someone in the industry, so this is a call out. I need a really, really rich philanthropist who's going to die and then leave us shitloads of money because they really care about the legacy that they're going to leave behind them. And then we will have the Marketing Academy in 20 countries around the world.
Multi-billionaires
anyone
on the
out
verge
there,
of kicking the bucket that are listening
don't leave it to your dog and your cat. I can make a really big difference with that money.
Will influence 7 billion people.
Exactly.
The state of advertising in 3 words.
Fearful. Oh, I hate saying that because I love it so much, but a bit fearful, a bit confused.
Okay.
Still got, this is more words, but shitloads of talent.
I like that.
Real capability.
They're 3 fabulous words.
Okay.
If there was a golden rule, what would it be?
What, for for the industry.
That's up to interpretation.
What is I tell you what the golden rule
Yeah.
is. This is really, really easy. This is a shout out to all of the bosses out there, right? We talk about leaders in everything that we do. But our definition of a leader is if you're in a position to influence anyone you're already leading. That it is not a job title, right? It is not being a CEO. It's not having people underneath you. But a boss, you got people underneath you. This is a shout out to bosses. Invest and develop in your talent. Do nothing but that. Enable, empower, inspire your talent to be the best that they can be. And your business will have no problems. When the things get tight, the very, very first thing that they'll cut is any investment in their people. Double down on the opposite of that and build your people to be the utmost best they can possibly be. And no one will beat you. No one will beat you. So that is the most important thing, I think. That is the zeitgeist of our industry. Develop that talent. You'll all be fine.
I love that golden rule. Any final advice for marketers or advertisers looking to find growth this year?
You have it at your very fingertips, right? So
Okay.
really acknowledge. So the first thing is to be aware of that, because I'm not sure that a lot of them do feel that aware of exactly what power that they've got at their fingertips. So embrace the power that you've got at your fingertips. Be mindfully aware that anything and everything you put out there is going to have an impact on someone. And it could be 1 billion people. So be really mindful about what messaging that is, what it is that you're sending out there. Because you can make fundamental change happen at a DNA level with the people that see your messaging, your comms, your advertising, and you can help them to think differently about the world. That's what I think.
Wonderful. What a fabulous view of the world. I'm so glad we got to have this chat.
It's my pleasure.
Sherilyn, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure, an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.